The views expressed in this program do not necessarily reflect those of this station.
Welcome to Insights into Northeast Michigan, a WBKB News public affairs program. Insights deals with the issues affecting those in the community as well as Northeast Michigan and the state. And now, Insights into Northeast Michigan.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Insights. My name is Kevin Hodge, and today we are here to talk about recycling. And joining me today are these four lovely people. Can we just go down the line and introduce ourselves?
I'm Brad McRoberts. I'm the chairman of the Alpena County Board of Commissioners.
Cindy Johnson, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Alpena.
I'm Jackie Krafczyk, the President and CEO of the Alpena Chamber of Commerce.
And if you can hear me, I'm Stan Mishley. I'm the manager out here at the Resource Recovery Facility.
Beautiful. Brad, I wanted to start with you. What can you tell us about the Alpena Community Recycling Challenge?
Well, Alpena County started their recycling in 2011. Prior to that, everything went to the landfills. And so now with everybody wanting to keep it out of the ground and recycle it, which is a very smart thing to do, it's progressed here in Alpena County. Each year it's improved better and better, more and more recycling. Last year we set a record of 1.1 million pounds of paper, plastic, and cardboard. That's a phenomenal number and something that we're all very excited about, because going from nothing to that number is quite a bit. So now we're partnering with Eagle in a very exciting movement that Eagle's challenged us to recycle 2 million pounds of paper, plastic, and cardboard by the end of 2019. So right now we have 4 months left. I think we can do it. I know we can do it. And we're asking the people of the community to partner with us and join us in recycling paper, plastic, and cardboard. And if they want to, they can monitor this progress on the website alpenacounty.org/Alpena County Recycling.
Beautiful. And definitely if more people get involved, that would definitely be a big help, because only 15%, the recycling rate is only at 15% right now, so we can definitely get those numbers up. And moving on, Cindy, what can you tell me about why is it important for Alpena residents, first of all? Northeast Michigan typically does all right with recycling, but...
We do, and for the last 4 years we've broke record after record after record. Our goal this year is to reach 2 million pounds of recycling. So the Know It Before You Throw It campaign that the state has kicked off, we're joining in that. It's important, this campaign is important because we're teaching people how to recycle cleanly. So if you have metals and plastics, rinse them out before you throw them in the bins. And you can recycle here at the facility or any of the green bins throughout the county. It helps keep the product clean that we send to market, because the market is looking for a clean product. When you put plastics in the recycling bin, and I know a lot of people do this, they put them in a plastic bag to take them to the bin, and then they throw it all in the bin. The problem with that is once it reaches the facility here, they have to rip open each one of those bags and hand sort it. That's time consuming because we do all of it by hand. So it's just those little things, and if people in the county can do, you can take your recyclables to the bin and plastic, but then dump them out. Saves a lot at the facility. Rinse out your materials, sort them properly, and never throw garbage in the bin, because it'll contaminate the whole bin and it'll have to go to the landfill, and that's one thing we're trying to avoid.
Mm-hmm. And keeping the earth clean is definitely one of the main things we're trying to tackle here. But what can you tell me about the economic impacts that recycling has?
Well, I think Jackie can speak to that.
Yeah, I can, yes.
She can.
All right, Jackie, let's
All
hear
right. Yeah, so obviously we all care about the environment and we understand the value of recycling in that regard, but there's also a really important economic benefit as well. So with Eagle setting the goal at 30% of its trash, Michigan's trash being recycled, if that were to happen and we were to reach that goal, that would create nearly 13,000 jobs in the state, which is an incredible number, and it would have an economic impact of about $300 million a year. So those are some really big numbers, and it's only 30% of the trash. It's really an achievable goal, I think. In addition, we've got Michigan manufacturers, some right here in Northeast Michigan, who rely on a clean, steady supply of recyclable material so they can continue to produce the products that they produce and ship them all over the world. So it's really important that we do recycle and keep, we have it local, we have these products for them and the recyclables for them to use right here out of Northeast Michigan. So very important, keep it out of our landfills, give it back to our manufacturers, let them use it for what they need to use it for. So it's not only good for the environment, but the campaign is very good for our economy as well.
Mm-hmm. And Cindy, can we come back to you?
Yes.
Tell me about the Recycling Raccoon Squad. What can you tell me about that?
The recycling raccoons, they're the state's recycling raccoons, and what a better animal to use, because raccoons are always in your trash. And I can guarantee you the animals that are in your trash locally are not the state's recycling raccoons, but there are 6 of them. And they each have their own Facebook. The state has their Recycling Raccoons has a Facebook page, but each one of the Recycling Raccoons has their own web page. So you have Nyla P. Lastics, and of course she'll tell you everything you need to know about recycling plastics. You have Carlos Cardboard. His famous line is, flattery will get you nowhere, but flattening will. So it's a really, really cute campaign that the state has put together using the Recycling Raccoons. It's a great way for children to learn how to recycle, and it's a fun way for adults to learn what to do and what not to do when you put things in the bins.
Mm-hmm. And these raccoons, like you said, have their own website.
They do.
What kind of recycling tips are available on those websites?
They'll teach you what you can put in the bins from metal, so you have precious metal. She will tell you what you can put in the bin and what you can't put in the bin. So each one of the raccoons has a specialty. They'll tell you, like pizza boxes, you can't put in greasy cardboard. So Carlos Cardboard will tell you that. You can rip off the top of a cardboard box if it doesn't have grease on it and recycle that, but you can't recycle the bottom. It just can't go to market. So it's those little things that they will tell you that are really, really important in what you put in the bins. And then you have Frank, the Recycling Raccoon Frank, who collects all the oddities. So if you don't know where to put your oil or your mattresses or any of those things, Frank will direct you to where to put those, because some of those can come to the center, but they can't go in the bin.
Excellent. And Jackie, coming back to you, we talked about the economy and the effects recycling has on it. How does recycling create jobs?
Well, I don't know if you can hear the background here. We've got several people working right at this facility right now because, like Cindy said, things do need to be sorted. Once it goes in that bin, there's a whole lot of work that happens after the fact. So you do have the people that have to work in facilities like these or choose to work in facilities like these, sorting it, getting it ready to ship to wherever its next location is. But then you have the next job after that. So who's receiving it? Where is it going? What manufacturer is it going to? If our manufacturers, who are all doing quite well right now, if they're able to get the products that they need, they can continue to build and grow their businesses as well. So it's not even just the facilities right here, it's also the jobs extended beyond that that are added because of recycling.
I just want to thank all 4 of you for joining me today and joining us on Insights, and really appreciate it. We're going to get this recycling done. We're going to bring the percentage up from 15%, and should be looking better in a few years.
Can I direct people to our Facebook page? So
yes, absolutely.
The Alpena Resource Recovery Facility has a Facebook page. So if you like that page, we will keep you updated on the challenge as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you for joining us today on this episode of Insights. And don't go anywhere, because we'll have more after this. Welcome back to Insights. Today I'm joined by Brian Burke with the Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy, also known as EGLE. And today we're talking about recycling. So Brian, what can you tell me about the Know It Before You Throw It campaign?
Thanks for asking, Kevin. The EGLE has kicked off a campaign to educate Michiganders on what can and can't be recycled across the state. We wanted to cover just some real basic rules, and then also have people learn the local rules in their own programs to find out what's acceptable there. And then we're also trying to increase the amount of recyclables that are diverted across the state, as well as provide that basic education that I was talking about. And the campaign, we call it Know It Before You Throw It, as you talked about, and it's designed to provide that education and also to stress the economic and environmental benefits of recycling. And we're excited that it's an education campaign, but we also have a unique perspective to it, that we have these recycling experts that are helping us do this education, known as the Raccoon Recycling Squad. And what we're trying to do with them is, who knows their way around recycling better than raccoons in their trash cans. So in the next coming months, you're going to be learning more from the likes of Nyla P Plastic, Precious Metal, Gladys Glass, Carlos Cardboard, and Paper McKay, and then of course Frank. So that's
Just
kind of the
Frank.
categories. Yep, just Frank.
And where can we expect to see these raccoons?
They're going to be on commercials, on billboards, on social media, and we're covering the entire state with it. We've done several education campaign press events, so we're going to cover the whole state with this campaign.
And so, yeah, the rate of recycling in Michigan is at only 15%. How are we going to use this campaign to hopefully raise those numbers?
Well, we're hoping to encourage people to recycle more through the campaign, but even more importantly, we want people to recycle the right way. So we're providing education on what they can and can't recycle in their own individual programs, where we're hoping that the campaign will achieve both and helping us increase that rate and making sure that people are only putting the proper stuff in their recycle bins.
Mm-hmm. And for all of Michigan, is that typically a good number for Michiganders, or is that lower than other states in the country?
No, it's the lowest rate in the Great Lakes region and one of the lowest in the nation. So Michigan needs to do some catching up, and that's what this campaign is designed for.
And so what are some tips you can give for recycling and just proper recycling so you don't contaminate other things in the recycling bin?
Well, just in general, it's a good idea to make sure that all of your containers are empty, they're clean. Just get rid of any residue that's in them, and make sure there's no liquid left in them, no garbage left in them. Some real basic general rules we'll talk about later with some of our prop items here. But yeah, the idea is just to make sure that it's clean. It's a commodity that you're putting into the bin, so we don't want people using the recycling drop-off bins, especially here in Alpena County. They rely on recycling drop-off containers, so they shouldn't be used as garbage containers. We don't want people putting their regular garbage in there. We don't want people putting diapers, syringes, anything that's harmful to the workers that work at the facility, because they're sorting that material there by hand. So you don't want anything in there. It's costly to the county, and it's costly to the worker safety if they got stuck by a needle that was, inadvertently put in there, or some rotting garbage or something. So that's the kind of thing that's really important to get across educationally.
So definitely quality of recycling is definitely as important as quantity.
Yes, absolutely. Because the recycling itself is a commodity that's used to make new products. So once you sort out all of your paper and your cardboard, that goes into making brand new paper and cardboard. So you wouldn't want to make something new yourself with something that's garbage in it. So that's the idea, is to make sure that it's clean and of quality material so that somebody can make something new out of it that you can buy again on the store shelf.
And so where is the future goals for this campaign? What kind of goals have you set in mind?
Well, with Alpena itself, the area has been increasing their recycling year by year. And they recently just broke a record for recycling of their paper, plastic, and cardboard by reaching 1.2 million. So what we've done is Eagle has partnered up with the Alpena Resource Recovery Board to reach a Alpena Recycling Challenge that we announced just recently in August. And as part of that campaign, we're hoping they'll reach 2 million pounds of recyclable materials by the end of 2019. So, because unfortunately there's still a lot of valuable recyclable materials that are going into the landfill. So we're trying to encourage the residents, hey, let's do a little bit more, get those valuable commodities into the recycling bin.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of damage does putting recyclable materials in that landfill actually cause to the environment?
It's more of an economic problem, and then landfills themselves have some risks. There are modern safety precautions for landfills now, but it takes up space. Once it's filled up, you have to build another landfill. And then there also could be possible contamination issues at landfills. So the idea is this material that you can separate and recycle has value. So why put it in a hole in the ground forever?
Mm-hmm. We're going to actually talk about these recycling items in just a couple minutes when we return. Welcome back. We have some common household items here that may confuse recyclers. So, Brian, can you tell us what might be confusing about some plastic items?
Well, in Alpena's program, plastic bags like this grocery bag here they're not accepted in Alpena's program. Unfortunately, they get a whole lot of them, but depending on where you're at in the state, some programs will take them, some won't. Alpena's program does not want them because they have to sort them out by hand, and they don't have a good market for them. But a lot of the local grocery stores around town will take them, the Meijers, the Walmarts, but I would go ahead and call them just to make sure that they take them. And another common problem is like this garbage bag here, again made out of a plastic bag. A lot of people will put their recyclables inside of them, which makes sense. You store them up, but then when they take them to the bin, they throw the whole thing in there with recyclables inside the bag and everything. So what happens at the Alpena recycling facility is they have to take this bag and empty it. And that takes up a lot of their time, and they also don't know what's inside of it. So what we encourage people to do is if you put recyclables in your plastic bag, when you take it to the container, simply empty the bag, put your recyclables loose down into the container, take this bag back home with you and use it again. I mean, why keep spending money on the bag? When it's clean, you can use it over again. And they don't want the bag to start with. So that's the issue with plastic bags.
And you said that to recycle plastic bags, you can actually bring them to the grocery store?
Yeah, as long as they're clean and dry, the grocery stores will take them. The problem is the recycling centers themselves have problems processing plastic bags. In Alpena's case, they have to do it by hand, and it just slows everything down. In facilities that have mechanical equipment, it actually clogs up their equipment. So that causes problems with them processing anything. They have to stop and remove these plastic bags from them. It's what they call tanglers, so this bag gets tangled up and caught in the equipment. So they have to stop and physically cut it out and pull it out by hand and then get the machinery running again. So other items that cause that are things like hoses, electric cords, anything that's long and stringy. They try to take them out of the recycling processing facilities.
I see. And moving on to this pizza box here, I know we were talking earlier, it's not actually this kind of pizza box that might be a big issue. It's actually the takeout pizza boxes, like from Little Caesars, Pizza Hut, Papa John's.
Yep. One of the issues with the pizza boxes, you know, you see the good greasy pizza box here, and then you see the greasy pizza on top of it. What happens with the Little Caesars boxes is once you're done with them, they've got grease stains on the bottom of the box. And they might have some leftover crust or a little bit of cheese stuck on there. So what happens is that will contaminate that piece of cardboard, and it'll also contaminate anything else that's in the recycling container. So if that piece of cheese falls off onto another piece of paper or the grease stains something else, that can ruin everything that's in the recycling box. So what we encourage people to do is not put anything that's greasy, has food left over on it, into your recycling container. You can rip the box apart because most of the time the top of the box is perfectly fine. So you rip the top off, recycle that part of the cardboard, and throw the greasy part of the box away. But another thing with this type of box, it's a good example of what we call something that goes into a freezer or refrigerator, has a special coating on this type of box that oftentimes makes it not recyclable in different programs. So in Alpena County's case, this type of box is not recyclable here in Alpena County. There are other programs that will take it, and this box is similar to orange juice containers, milk juice containers, like I said, anything that you put in your refrigerator or freezer. Other programs like Presque County's program, they send their recyclables to Emmett County to be processed. And Emmett County has the space and equipment to recycle this type of material. So it's really important to check your local rules. That's why part of the campaign is to emphasize, check with your local program and what they'll accept and what they won't. So for instance, this type of box, perfectly fine to take in almost any recycling program in Michigan because it doesn't have the special coating on it. You know, along with cereal boxes or macaroni and cheese boxes, those type of boxes are fine.
What about what's inside this particular box here? These tissues, will those pose a problem in recycling?
Most definitely. Anything that's this material, like a tissue or a paper towel, or anything that's small, a baby wipe type of thing, even though you think it's made out of paper, it's not recyclable because the fibers that are in this type of material are so small that they can't be made into new paper products. And then oftentimes they're contaminated if you blow your nose into it or you wipe off something, you know. So the general rule is not to even bother with recycling this type of material.
Excellent. And so maybe we can move on to the can. How important is it that you wash out your cans before recycling?
It's critical to make sure that they're rinsed and emptied. I mean, that's the general rule, is you don't want to have any food items in them. You don't want to have anything that's still stuck in the can. So if you just give it a general rinse, get that out of there, make sure it's empty. You don't want any liquids because they can get spilled onto the other stuff in the recycling container if you put it in there with it being empty. That same would go with a pop can. You know, Michigan has a beverage deposit law, so most of those containers are recycled as well. And the same rule goes when you take them back to return your deposit. You don't really want to have them dirty and full of liquids. That's the same rule for other recycling. So if you have a soup can, it's the same thing. You don't want to have any leftover soup in it. You want to make sure that that's rinsed out and emptied before you put it in your recycling container.
So Brian, are there any future plans for how to recycle glass in Alpena?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question, Kevin. I know that programs all across the state treat glass differently, but I know the Alpena Resource Recovery Board is working hard at expanding their facility. They're trying to find a new location, get some better processing equipment, so they might be able to start accepting glass and some of the other materials that we talked about that they currently don't take now. So that is some of their future plans that they're working on, and Eagle would like to try to help them as best we can to move forward and do that. Because like I mentioned, other programs around the area do take it. Presque County takes glass. Alpena doesn't. I think Alcona County might, and I think they take some other materials that Alpena can't right now. So it would be great if they could expand their facility to take more materials.
Absolutely. And are there any other recycling tips that you think that you'd like to give out to the people of Alpena?
Yeah, I know Alpena's had problems again with their bins being used as just general trash cans. So, you know, I'd make an appeal that, you know, it could be your neighbor that's working at the Alpena processing facility and they're sorting this material with their hands. They're putting the cans all together in one area. They're putting all the papers in another area. So you wouldn't want to do that yourself if somebody threw in a bag of garbage or threw in some deer guts or, you know, who knows what. There's all kinds of strange stories of what goes into recycling bins. So just remember that it should be just clean stuff, and that'll help the whole system work better.
Excellent. Thanks for those tips, Brian. And thank you for joining us today.
Sure.
Thanks to you for coming in on behalf of Eagle and the Know It Before You Throw It campaign. And if you'd like to learn more about this campaign, you can visit this website on the screen. And thanks for watching.
Insights into Northeast Michigan is produced by WBKB News. If you have any comments, suggestions, or topics you would like to see on a future show, please email WBKB News. This has been a production of Thunder Bay Broadcasting Corporation. All rights reserved.